Boys, girls, all my Trump holders out there, welcome back to the Model Nerds, and this is the mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead, Shiva. Let's talk about it. So, as always, this is a dialogue. This is me opening the conversation so we can talk about it. What we thought of this mid-season finale, which means the show will be coming back in August. Wow. That's one word. Oh, yep, there we go. That's it. The end. No. Wow. So, slower. Definitely slower compared to what we got maybe the past couple episodes. The show was picking up for a while. I think people were liking that. This was slower, but it was still intriguing. And towards the end, it definitely built up, and it left us with a nice spot for a mid-season finale. And we did lose someone. I'll talk about it at the end. And I think that might hurt a little bit in the long run. But let's just start off. The tension's still there with Celia and everyone else. And it leaves off, it picks up right where it left off last week with Abigail and Strand. And I was a little surprised with how Celia is so strong in her ways that Strand stayed around for as long as he did after that. I was expecting either some kind of violence being taken out on him or him just getting kicked out right away. She seemed like she was mad, but she kept him around a little bit, which just didn't seem. I guess she is a hospitable character, a very nice character, but I mean, they eventually did get rid of Strand. So I don't know. It just made more sense if they would have done it then, as opposed to later. But that's nitpicking. But the rest of the episode, the story was told nicely. I like how Travis was saying we need Chris back, and they were saying no, no, he doesn't belong. And Travis found Chris, and he's staying with Chris. And that's the interesting part. How long is that going to last? What's going to happen with Chris? I mean, last week we saw it kind of escalate to a point. There's kind of no coming back. He kind of seems too far gone at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that, or if it just kind of there's a resolution right away. I don't think there should be. I think they should be written off for a little bit. I don't think they're gonna. I think it's going to be the two kind of stories being told, possibly a third with Nick, because we see what happens with them towards the end. But I don't know. I think it would be better for the character if they wrote him off. I think he would click more if he was written off. I think it would make sense to kind of see where he comes to when we meet back with him. So I think that would be good for that character. However, I like the character. I like the story that was being told with him and Nick going in two very different directions. I've been saying this for this whole half of the season. Chris and Nick are probably two of the more interesting characters to me because of the directions they're going in. And speaking of interesting characters, we have Daniel, and we have the hearing voices, and it pretty much escalated in this episode, and we see where that goes. And how do I do? Okay, if you guys didn't watch the episode, stop now. Okay, and come back and watch it. So, if you're still watching, hopefully you saw it, and we know that Daniel is gone. So, it makes sense with what they've been doing with Daniel the past couple episodes, but he was, I think, one of the best characters. I think him, Strand, and Nick are the three characters that really sold a lot of people this season on really sticking with the show. And he was a big asset. And especially, he was kind of the character they have, when something had to get done, he would do it. Like, he wasn't afraid to kind of go there. He was kind of what we've seen from Carol kind of in The Walking Dead. That's what we kind of saw out of him. He wasn't afraid to go there. He did what he had to do. And he kind of lost in the end, and it makes sense. We see a similar theme in The Walking Dead with Carol, where once they've taken so many lives, once they've gone that far, it weighs on them. If they have conscience, and obviously Daniel and Carol and Walking Dead both have consciousness, but we see that escalate and really get to get to the forefront here. And it was nice to see his wife back, and I feel like in a larger role than she ever had on the show when she was on the show. But it was kind of beautiful in a weird way. Daniel's ending made sense. Daniel faced all those walkers and he went down with them. And by doing that, he was pissing off Celia because she obviously had them for a reason. She said a good line, and the writing was very strong in this episode. Something to the effect of, "The dead are no longer the dead." Something to that. There is no longer death. And that was an interesting line. And we might have heard it in The Walking Dead. I don't remember it, but that was an interesting line. And it was good to see Daniel, with the way he went out. He was in control, and he kind of would get at Celia by doing so. However, it was death that did not necessarily need to happen. He definitely could have gotten away with everything without that happening. It was kind of suicidal to a point. I mean, that's kind of what it was. But his character, he had started going crazy. It was only a matter of time. He was kind of seeing the ghosts, and he was kind of pushed to that point. So it makes sense from a character standpoint. I don't know. I thought they told a good arc with Daniel for this half of the season. And is the boat still going to be there? They were talking about the boat. Is that going to still be there? Or did someone else take the boat at this point? Maybe they have the keys or something, but I don't know. I feel like the boat just still being there in one piece is unlikely. Although they probably haven't been at Celia's house for too long, I still see the boat not being there. And if so, do we go back to the boat for the next half of the season? Is that just going to kind of be the gimmick here? Every half season or season, we get off the boat and then go back on to go somewhere else? I don't know. But this was definitely a stronger episode. Probably not the strongest one of this half of the season. The last 10 minutes or so were great, I would say. And it definitely felt like Daniel's arc was building to that. So that definitely felt like a rightful climax in terms of Daniel's arc. So that's all I'm going to say for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead. As always, I could go on forever, but I'm not going to. I'm going to end it there. So let's talk about it in the comments down below. Let's keep the dialogue going. So let me know down below what you guys thought of this week's episode, the mid-season finale. And that's it. We're not back till August with Fear the Walking Dead. So that's when I'll be seeing you for Fear the Walking Dead. Thanks for watching for this half of the season. Thanks for sticking with me and commenting down below. And that's it, guys. So subscribe because it takes around that much effort to do so. And until next time, you have been traumatized.